Hello, everybody. We're back with another Hardpoints episode. This one's number 12. We're previewing CDL Florida. That's happening this weekend.
12.
This one's number 12, in case you missed the other episode. Go listen to the other 11. They're fantastic. And you know why? Because I have some of the best people in the business with me. We got Merk, we got Maven, we got Crowder, and I'm all right, too, I guess. For this episode, we're going to preview Florida, the event coming up this weekend, the teams in Groups A and Group B, and give some predictions on what's going to happen. Also, some big lineup changes happened recently with some of these teams. We're going to start off with that note because that's like the freshest information that we have. Big things going down. We've wanted to see some roster changes happening, and now we're starting to see it. So just to knock on that point a little bit, who wants to take it away?
Let's get it, Big Clint. That's all you, baby.
Well, I guess the first thing I thought, ironically, was I was like, my tweet wasn't that crazy. I tweeted, what was it during the event? I said, I think if Optic loses series and Huntsmen lose to London, that they'll both make changes. And most people are like, nah, Huntsman's not going to make a change. Well, fuck you. Looks like they're making a change. And I actually didn't think, I thought once they got to a semifinal and lost to Dallas, the losing to a team like Dallas, the semifinal, I thought they'd probably stick it out. But my concern was it's just been so many in a row, right? Like it's been like 4 in a row, just semifinal. And as we touched on a lot last week, like this is a team that is built to win tournaments. They have the talent to win tournaments, the expectations to win tournaments. If they can't win tournaments consistently, something's got to happen. So this is the change. Now, for now, all we know is what? For Huntsman, Gunless out, General in. I don't think there is anyone here amongst us 4 that thinks this is going to be the final play. One, from a role standpoint, I don't think this solves anything. His General has mostly been an AR historically. Even if he can run the flex or a sub, I don't think this is going to be permanent. I think there's going to be some kind of trade that goes down. But
well, you would probably have Alec run a sub. That's
yeah. I mean, he was doing that. He was doing that well at the start of the game. But I guess that I'm curious to hear from you guys if you thought, all right, so when we heard about Optic stuff, or when we said Optic was going to happen, we knew that JCap would be maybe scapegoat's not the right word, but if they weren't succeeding, JCap would be the first one out. We knew he'd be the first one out. I guess I kind of thought with Gunless's history and the history with Formal, I think I sort of thought he would be as well, because it's Scump's team when it boils down to it. I thought Gunless was probably the first guy out, but were you guys still surprised he was the guy, just considering how good he is?
No. And I guess it's because we knew, like, I sort of talked about it. I think Gunless, Slasher, Crim, those 3 to me really stick out as similar in the fact that we just know how they are in scrims and practice. Like, they hate losing. And I think it's just the way they portray it, right? And
Totally.
the way that we've learned, especially like Optics of the past, Scump's team, like, TJ and Dad, they want to have some fun. And a lot of people may not like that. A lot of people may like that, but Gunless is like, he's not that. Like, he's just not going to vibe with a team that is always trying to have a little bit of fun. He probably feels like it's a waste of his time. I also think the way that this game has sort of turned itself into a couple of people have to really play like sneaky or take these certain routes and rotate. Who is going to do that on this Chicago team? Arcides? Sure. I think Envoy was doing it a good amount, but I then think Envoy figured out I'm probably the best player on this team. So I'm going to do what I want to do. I have this figured out right now. Someone else needs to pick that up. Is it going to be Scump or Formal? Nah. So who does that fall onto? It falls on the Gunless. And I do not think that Gunless wants to do that. Gunless still feels that he's probably one of the best players in the world. He wants to fly. I think that was like one of his stream titles, is like, I'm a peacock, you got to let me fly. And I think what that means is I just want to do what I want. And it's crazy because when we've seen Gunless do that, he's been the best player in the world. There is the past 3 to 4 titles, you can pick out a time where we have all considered him the best player in the world. But it just feels like there's not a place for that right now because Envoy's in his prime, or Envoy. Sorry, that's what we have to call him now. And yeah, I mean, they need someone to sort of do the selfless thing. And again, of course, Scump and Formal are smart enough where they can pick it up every now and then. I'm not saying they're not doing it, But what we've figured out with like Minnesota and Florida and these other teams is they have people dedicated to it. And I just don't think Gunless wants to do that.
Well, to your point, it reminded me of this. I can't remember if we've ever touched on this before in the past, but we were in Columbus for the Pro League, and it's when LG was struggling, right? And just speaking to how Gunless wants to do his thing and he wants to play his game, I don't know what happened in the comms, but he earned a kill streak, score streak, and someone, I guess, was telling him maybe how to use this. And all we heard when LG exploded after it was Gunless goes, "It's my fucking streak. I earned the fucking streak. I'll use the streak how I want to." And I was like,
yeah.
what is happening here? So yeah, no, I think he wants to do his thing, and I think he wants to play the way he wants to play. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just one of those things where he feels he's good enough. We know he puts the time into it. And again, I think IW, World War II, Black Ops 4, he's been at a point the best player in the world. So like, it's just, yeah, I just don't know, man. And you know how he can be like, I mean, people have literally told him and had discussions with him that if he doesn't turn it around with like attitude and scrim sometimes, that like he could end up not being on a team. And I think he still has the talent where he can help any other team really besides Chicago. But we know that there's been so many talented players nowadays in our league where that is something you just have to start thinking about, like how you are as a teammate.
He's an upgrade on all 11 other teams, probably, right? Like
maybe
not Dallas.
You could go into it
from just skill wise. Yes, I think he's
sure. You could go into it.
Yeah,
there's a majority of the teams that would take him no matter what, but it's just getting to that point where you can't always be the issue in the team, the guy who is just constantly bringing people down, and that's super important.
It's just you need a certain balance of personalities, and I feel like 5v5 made that even worse. Like 4v4, your individuality as a player stood out more. So like those issues, like he's able to make a bigger impact, and now that it's more of a team environment, an individual can't do as much in a 5v5. So like that's when the intangible stuff comes into play way more. And that's why I feel like these situations are going to keep coming up with some of these players where it's like you can't have a guy that's slacking off. You can't have a guy that's just being a fucking asshole all the time unless he's far and above the best player. But like when it comes down to Call of Duty in like a team style like this, like there's only so many players on the team that can play selfish. And with 5v5, I don't know, you guys give your opinion on this too, but like you need like 2 selfless players, maybe even 3. Like, and a lot of these rosters don't have it. Some players might try and be like changing into that, but I feel like a lot of these players are like so used to playing whatever way they're used to playing because that's where they've had success for so long. And it's like, I don't know, you need someone that's going to take the back seat and like do all the bullshit no one else wants to do. And Chicago's a good example of not having very many selfless players. So when this roster formed, like people were making the prediction that this was going to happen, and look at that, it happened. So there's just like so many scapegoats on each team, and it's like it's always the dirty work players. We've seen this same cycle like of players that like take the back seat on these rosters, and they end up getting dropped. I'm interested to see when that sort of shift changes with like the perception of a lot of these players, because it happened to like someone like me, for example. Like I was the 0.9 first in bomb bitch, like, oh, I suck, I'm dropped. Right? So like it's not a fun job. I want to sit on a head glitch and not move and drop a 1.1. Like you can't have everyone do that on a team. So I'm like really wondering when that shift is going to happen, or if it ever will. Because I don't know if you feel free to disagree with me, but I feel like as we transit, like there hasn't been a lot of time where we've had 5v5 yet. So like I feel like it's just you're starting to see these problems sort of shine through because you need more teamwork in 5v5. Just how it is, more people on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really disagreeing with you, but to add to your point too, with how I feel like when we played specifically, it was a different time with how serious things are.
It's hard to compare. Yeah,
like right. I think like the intangibles of being a good teammate and all of that goes such a long way right now, because a lot of the teams are obviously living within the same vicinity of each other. They're going to a facility to play. Maybe like not right now in the current era of the world, but I'm saying like that's kind of what it's getting to. And being a good teammate and all of that, especially in 5v5, is going to be like, is with how serious things are, like really, really important to me. I just feel like having your teammates show up on time, super important. It's disrespectful to the other 4 players that you're being fucking late. That's annoying. No, you know what I'm saying? Not being like always annoying in scrims. Like obviously there's going to be people that want to be better. There's going to be people that want to be the best team they can, but like also working on yourself and seeing how you want to say things to certain people. Everyone's different. Like I'm a big believer that everyone's different. And like, yeah, I might believe in one way, but some people you might not get through to that way. You know what I'm saying? So you have to work with like individuals. Like there's going to be a lot of that comes into play in the future. And I think that is going to be huge for a lot of like really, really talented players' success, like for the future. Because not everyone's going to be able to mesh well. Like you can't fault Gunless for wanting to win.
Right,
you can't.
right.
Like,
No way.
But at the same time, you can fault him. Like, I don't think Scump, like, and Scump and Crim had like the whole thing where like I think they were kind of getting tired of Crim, like getting annoying. You know what I'm saying? Like always being annoying in practice, and that doesn't make Scump in the wrong or Crim in the wrong at all. It's just like some people don't mesh.
Yeah.
So when you team with someone that doesn't like when you're just bitching at them all the time, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if this is what happened with the Huntsmen. You have to take a different approach. It's just simple. It's plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? Like not everyone's the same, and you can't mold everyone into the way you want them to be because that's kind of selfish on your part too. It's not always your way or no way at all. And like if that's something I think for the longevity of a lot of these players' careers that they're going to have to kind of focus on changing too. Like there's obviously a balance in between that, but you do definitely have to keep that in mind, in my opinion. I don't know.
I think that like another part of it falls on the staff though too. Like you have to be on it, like of the team and the organization to understand the team you're putting together and where these things could happen. Why did people predict that? Why did experts predict that this was probably going to happen? Did they work in it while they were scrimming? You know, like honestly, a lot of the times when I was on teams, the way we fixed problems was going into a hotel room, shutting the door, and everybody just letting it out, right? And like, I'm not saying that's the best way, but we're at the point now where you should have coaches or managers, whether it's a one-on-one with them, whether it's one-on-ones with different players, where 2 players need to sit down. I don't know the answer, but the fact that everybody on the outside predicted this, and I don't know if there was anything happening on the inside to try and face that. That's like that you just have to be aware of it.
I think Chris nailed it though, saying that the balance is really hard though, because when you think about the other side of this, like the optic side, we discussed last week how Slasher wanted to team with Cap. He wanted to get someone of the same mentality, and you feel you have the talent there. And it's still not enough. So it's I mean, it's got to be really hard to have like the personalities that mesh and the gameplay that meshes. And winning is hard, but
winning is hard.
That optic argument is kind of flawed with Dashy and TJ.
Well, I'm saying they try. True. But like,
those guys clearly don't like. They made it very apparent that they did not like Rim, and obviously that's not gonna. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Well, even when you try though with the leadership standpoint, like, I think Slasher and Cap tried to probably get that chemistry there from a leadership standpoint. But yeah, depending on the other players, it's still hard. It's still hard to do.
Like we all agree that like TJ hasn't been playing well this year, and I think that we said it like in a previous podcast. Yeah. But that's not saying he is bad. We all know what TJ is, and we all know his ceiling. And I think when TJ has fun and his vibe's a lot higher, he's one of the best players in the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you really got to like, I don't know, like, just because you have Cap on the team, that's cool. Dashy and TJ are your go-to like guys right now where you want them to step up in those big matches. So like, if you're always putting them down and they're not responding to you, that's a huge issue. And like for me, I'm more on the hard ass side personally, but like
same
at the same time, like if it's shutting them down, like that's also something that you have to change. And you might not agree with that. And you might think, oh, maybe these guys are being soft, or oh, maybe these guys are being too hard. But at the end of the day, what you want to win, right? So like sometimes you got to put down your own philosophy and try and work and find that balance. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a thing for a lot of players. I think that going forward, like either team with people that can handle it, and you know that, you know what I'm saying, or try and find a balance and try and work on it. Obviously, there's more to that story, of course, but I just feel like that's a big thing too. But yeah, that optic thing, I feel like Dashy and TJ are so goddamn talented. And when they're having a little bit more fun, that I think it's amplified. And we've all seen that. I think in the beginning of that optic team with you coaching TeeP, I think you guys are having a lot of fun. You're winning all your S&D tournaments.
On top of the world. Yep.
On top of the world. You guys came in on top of the world. then what happened? You guys started struggling, arguments happened, and
Stop
it kind of
having
just slowly
fun,
declined. Yeah, exactly.
toxicity, people stop
And
listening
even
to one another.
even like
just-
I feel like TJ kind of fell into like a little rut there too, and I
He
feel like
did.
that might have been a big thing. And then TJ kind of snapped out of it. So it's like
Just-
not really being hard on TJ, but it's just I don't know. I feel like his ceiling is so high when he's having a little bit more
been
fun,
up
in my
and
opinion.
down. You're totally right. Yeah, from
I-
my
I
think
experience.
get it.
that
It's just
affects it.
like I
He's
don't
too
know,
good
man.
to
It's
be
just,
doing what he's doing.
it's a different mind. I don't know. It's just a completely different mindset than me. I just can't. I know we're playing video games and having fun, but like I have fun when I win. I don't know. Like
No, I know.
dude,
I'm on your side, but
Yeah, no, I get it. I just like, oh, we're not having fun, so I'm just not playing. Like I'm not
agree.
playing well.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Like I know getting on and scrimming every day with that team is probably stressful, and that's probably what a lot of it comes down to. Is they load up map number 1 Hackney Hardpoint and you get smoked 250 to 120, and then look at each other and like, well, here we fucking go again, right? Like,
it's chalked.
can't
It's
wait
chalked.
to do this. It's chalked, but like, bro, we know the amount of money that these kids are being paid, and you got to tell me I just need to have a little bit more fun. I would just, like, dude, like, come on, man, like, give me something, dude. It's tough.
yeah, I'm totally on your side, but I just I feel like it's
I
crazy.
think we definitely agree when it comes to being more like a hard ass. Like when I got on for practice, like I don't give a fuck about having fun. Like, did I win every map? No, we gotta get better. I don't know. It's
Pat
just,
and Krim on the same team.
oh, dude, it's insane. But like our quality of practice, yes, it was toxic, but like there was a definite goal we had going into it. Do a lot of teams have a good goal going into practice? I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. Speaking more on like the Gunless situation too, like there's an obvious lack of transparency when it comes to when these types of things happen. When there's an obvious scapegoat on the team, like they're usually, based on history, left out. How many, like, I wonder, like, did Gunless receive like any sort of warning? Did he not?
Well, he
just
tweeted
not,
he didn't, right? I
right.
thought
He tweeted
yeah.
that he didn't. Like, did players on the team, like, have a one-on-one with him, or did the coach or whoever have a one-on-one and be like, hey, the rest of the team thinks you're being a fucking asshole. You need to like really make a good effort to change these things and change your attitude when things are going poorly, or else X is going to happen. Did a conversation like that ever happen?
I would imagine it has to. I would imagine it has to.
I want to think of
from
the
his
best
side of the story. It obviously didn't,
right,
but
from
I don't
his
know.
POV, it seems like a big fat no, or he
There's always two sides.
didn't pick up on whatever they told him, and it just never got better. So like,
yeah, I've always thought
it's all
that's how they get
speculation.
better.
But
The
like,
whole like, yeah,
I don't know.
we might change you, so you should play better, right? Like I don't know. Maybe that is more of a thing nowadays, but it needs to be more of like a transparent thing. Like you're not playing well individually. We all notice it. We're not trying to put like X amount of pressure on you, but the fact is like if we don't win, like there's a good shot. Like it's almost like I look at it like an MLB player, right? Because there's so much movement with like AAA and stuff a lot of times, where it's just like they pay attention to their batting average and their stats and this and that. It's almost just like if you don't start hitting better.
Yeah.
Right, like we're gonna replace you, and I just don't know if those conversations are happening. They definitely
that's
didn't
what I'm
back when
worried
we
about.
played.
No
never
way.
happened back then.
No way it happened. So like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but like based on his tweet and based on what he said, like it didn't seem that way to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
It's all speculation, right? And we'll never know the full story.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like people maybe deserve that chance. And on the Optic side of the situation, I'm sure they had plenty of conversations about what they need to try and do, and none of it worked. So that's it's both roster moves. I feel like are just so much different because Optic obviously made role changes and plenty of different attempts. I just don't know how I feel about the Chicago one. I feel like it was just so soon. They didn't really do that poorly. Were the vibes that like when you look at their results? Clint, I know you're gonna take this side. It's like, oh, they expect to win every turn. No shit. Yeah, everyone does. Like, but it's Gunless, and they did so well. And what was what's their worst placement this year?
It's a semi, but it's four events in a row. It'd be
Yeah,
one thing, I guess, if it was
three,
one
right?
Or 4, right? 3 is 3.
I thought they
It's
won
three.
and then
Atlanta.
got fourth.
Atlanta, they won. Atlanta, they got fourth. Just what their event they got fourth. So
And
3
Dallas.
events in a row.
Yeah, 3 events in a row.
They got 2. They won and they got the semis 3 events in a row.
But to 2 of them, they lost to Florida, which
Right.
You
We
know
don't
what I'm
know.
saying?
Is that a
Yeah,
thing, or
that's what
would
I'm
they
saying,
actually
yeah.
have problems? Right. Like,
Yeah.
and we don't know.
I don't know.
And
They
then,
felt like they probably had problems.
so like to me, it's
I mean,
like
they know more than us at that point.
they know more. Obviously, if the quality of practice has been hindered for a long time, like I'm trying to like look at both sides and be like, from an overhead view, their placements haven't been that bad for how competitive this league is. Yes, it's a star-studded lineup, and then also Gunless could potentially go to another team and kick your ass.
Well,
Literally.
that's what the point I was going to say.
Because now you're lighting a fire under
Yeah.
someone like Gunless, and he's very
Oh,
good. He's very
Well,
good.
Gunless was on Echo Fox in World War II, got smoked and dropped, and then
Mhm.
joined Rise.
And they did
And
well.
Yeah.
They did pretty well.
So,
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
it's sort of what we talked about though. Like, could they make a trade without losing him? Right. Like
Right.
what we've talked about.
Mhm.
It's just costly, I would imagine, but that's probably the smarter thing to do.
That's what we should do next. I think it's like I kind of want to hear from each person. Like, do you think what they play again in like 2-3 weeks for Huntsman? Will we see this roster with General? I'm curious. Everyone thinks. And then for Optic, what would it take for them to do this weekend to maybe keep playing with Chino and not need to make a deal? Like if they come out and I don't know, get a top.
Well, that's the problem though, is they could even keep Chino. They still need another move, right? Like that's just. I don't know. It feels like they need a move, but go ahead, Chris.
Well, do they if they do well? I guess is what I'm saying. What if they get a top 2?
if they get top 2 with Chino, I think they go. I think they run it back. Like I think Optic would run it back with Chino.
They'd have to make the final. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they don't do that, I feel like they're still going to be looking. But we'll see with that, and I don't think there's a shot in hell they play with General. The only reason why is nothing against General. I just with Formal and Arcides on your roster, there's just no way.
Yeah, it's a role
You know what
clash.
I'm saying? Like I just feel like that makes no sense. I feel like right now they're just trying to plan a move. Maybe they're trying to get some scrims in, not to just take days and days off.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like General is just not the right role with Arcides and Formal on that team. And obviously, I'm pretty sure Formal tried the sub, and like those role switches didn't really work. So unless like General is an absolute star-studded sub player, and is like an entry guy, and remember, you're not replacing someone that was dropping a 0.8 either.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. You know what I'm saying? Like this move was probably more based on not getting along and having some issues in practice, and that you're replacing one of the best players in the world. The General is a very, very talented player, but to replace one of the best submachine gun players in the entire world is going to be a tough thing for him. So he's in a really unfortunate spot. I think there's no chance in hell they go into the event with him, but I could be wrong.
This is like a weird take. I feel like they're in a weird like in between situation. It kind of happened with New York too, where Happy kind of filled in. But like I feel like General is kind of like a good person to have in this weird void of a situation. He's gonna be mature about it. He knows the opportunity that's in front of him. He's gonna go hard as hell to try and like make a point for himself. He's gonna try and impact practice in such a positive way. So like General's actually a pretty good person just to have in this scenario, because like he has nothing really to lose. Worst case, he's still hanging out on the bench, right? As they moves forward. So it's weird.
What subs are out there? I know we've talked about Bristini.
Yep.
But like it feels like both teams are in the same situation, right? Neither of the subs come in and really solve the problem, whether it's Chino or General. And it feels like the only person that really comes to my mind right now, outside of like top AM players, or maybe a name that we've heard for a long, like a fellow or something, like the person that most comes to mind is probably Bristini. Like, are these two teams just drop kicking each other and trying to battle to get Bristini? Like, that's how I probably see it.
He fits what both of them need so bad.
Like, are they just fighting over like who could offer him more cash or make a deal work? Because
I think the easiest thing here, what I thought right away, was a Dashi for Gunless trade. I don't know who says no to this. You get your vibes. You get a lot of talented player for Chicago. You can basically do it all. Maybe you have to figure out the roles a little bit, but I think Alec is talented enough to run a sub full time. Not a big deal. On the OGLA side, you get a world-class player. You have the core of the Rise roster that was the best team in the world, and you get a restart. Would maybe the vibes be there between Slasher and Gunless? Probably
their
not.
Their last tournament was champs, though. It was like the top 24
do you care, though? Like, it's just at that point where I think it makes it's very easy. I think it's just an easy trade. But yeah, For Optic, it's probably Pristini, Enable, or Gunless to me.
Yeah.
For Chicago, it's probably Dashy or Pristini. I don't really know what other. I mean, maybe you take a chance on an amateur team, but I don't really know if Chicago would do that.
Yeah, it's not if you're Huntsman. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think Chicago do that.
I feel like that's more of an
Optic
but
thing.
like,
I feel like Optic has a better chance of doing an amateur than Huntsman personally.
Yeah.
Same.
But like the Dashy to Gunless thing, if you're taking every external factor in the world out of it, it's a great trade. But like the Rise roster broke up because Slasher and Gunless didn't get along.
Yeah.
Like and so they do that again, and if they don't win the first tournament, it's the same thing. You know, like I feel like that I don't think that's gonna change anything. Like I think the same thing with like Optic is they're not having fun, they're not getting along, they're not having like good practice is kind of what we're speculating. I think that trade makes everything even worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Gunless is more talented than Cap, let's like just straight up. But like does that, you know what I'm saying? Does that make the vibe of the team better? Like I don't know. I feel like that
the more that I think about this,
that happening is just like not gonna.
I keep going back to like the roles, and I don't know if Dashy to Chicago would actually be good. You have a third player that wants to run AR. When you think about S&D, you have 3 snipers. I know our city's only really snipes on Arklov, right? But like Formal's usually like the sniper, so it's just like I don't know. It would create like weird situations.
It's just the easy one to me.
Yeah,
because I know that's been the issue.
It makes sense on paper.
That's the issue. That's the issue. Has just been like roster changes. But you're probably right. There may be some issues, but like
what I want to see moving forward too is the whole swap that happened between our cities and Formal for like main AR. I need to see if like our cities can, because we're going to assume that Formal's going to keep on main AR, right? We assume that's going to happen. I feel like RCDs needs to like step up in the flex role a little bit. I don't want to say he's been playing like necessarily bad, but both of those players have been somewhat lackluster in the flex role. You guys agree with that or no? Or you think we haven't seen enough?
I actually thought Alec was pretty solid when he was doing it, but
I mean, like very recently. I don't know.
I thought Matt as like a main AR was really the thing that was like compared to other main ARs, what he was doing like wasn't what other main ARs were doing.
Especially historically for him, like he was the guy that was setting the precedent for stats from a main AR. That's probably the biggest thing for me too, Joe. That stood out. I thought.
So I think again we're at the point
more on the
where
formal
like,
side. You guys get what I'm trying to say though. Like one of those two needs to be phenomenal. That's what I'm 100%. I'm not trying to pin it on like either one of them either way playing poorly. They
both been
they haven't been
average.
They haven't been fucking top tier like we expect them to be. I get that's
it's weird to me to watch Dens drop a 1.2 and Formal drop a 1.0. It's fucking that he like this just seems like a title where Formal should dominate. But
all that means to me though is that like Formal like their team's doing something wrong in the sense of
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like their system of Call of Duty is failing Formal and their team as a whole.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think anyone's sitting here thinking Formal's just aiming and missing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just the system of COD that they're playing. And I talked about this the other day. Like the other podcast, I'm pretty sure is like when the game is hard for you, man, and you're squad spawning in the bad spawn, and they're just aimed at you, and you're squad spawning, and you over and over and over. It doesn't matter if you're an AR and stuff, but it's tough. So like, I feel like that's a product of like just right now, like whatever system they're running, just not helping anyone out.
And that's where I think where maybe like where Alec is probably trying to take a lot of that on. Because again, I think we saw Envoy doing that, and he's still probably doing it. But it's just like when you're performing so well, I just think you're just sort of kind of not doing necessarily what you want, but you know you have the takeover potential. Like he's sort of become the guy. So I think that opens up opportunities where other people have to play that selfless role, and a lot of it is probably falling on Alec. I think it is.
I'm sure that all 5 players.
It should be all 5, but like
it should be all 5. Yeah,
Envoy's I think ahead of the rest of them. I really do when it comes to thinking about the game, based on what I've seen so far. When I listen to their comms, everything like that, and when arguments were going down, it was a lot of it Envoy versus Gunless, and the other players would chime in, but. They wouldn't really go head to head into the argument, or at least not from what I saw usually. Feel free to disagree if you guys saw other situations happen, but like Envoy's been one of the most headstrong people on the comms of like trying to fix shit. So like,
yeah, 100%.
That's frustrating when things aren't being fixed over months and months of like all these hours being put in. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see if Envoy can continue to like do the insane things he's been doing too.
It's also hard to fix stuff though. Like it's very hard to scrim, talk about a specific play and not actually see it eye to like the VOD and actually fix it. Like someone will be like, remember on that P2 that I'm not talking about Huntsman, but like, you know how it goes. If someone's like, remember on that one P2 when you were here and you looked here, like you should have done this instead of that. And the guy, and usually a lot of the times like, yeah. And it's like,
you know
what I'm saying? Like,
I think we touched on that last episode. Just like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? Like, how invested are they? How invested is this roster?
That goes a long way, personally. That's how I view it, at least.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. Because I'm gonna question all that shit. I'm gonna question all that shit. Those are superstars. They've decided to make a change. So like something's off. Something in the process is off. Those players are too good. I know, but again, I'm gonna go back to what I said before. I don't know if this roster change made enough sense yet. It must have been just really bad in practice. That it, like, because their placements weren't that bad. They weren't like they didn't give me like the holy shit they're screwed. Like I don't know. Whereas Optic,
Huntsman, there's gonna be a change. I'm sure there'll be something announced before the next tournament. There just has to be. There has to.
Yeah.
There literally has to.
I mean, we're all assuming that, right? We already said that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay. So we spent like a good 30 minutes talking about that stuff. I think.
Yeah, we knew we would.
No, yeah, it's juicy because it's a big move for a big team full of superstars.
That's the hottest topic of the community.
And like
right now.
that's just huge. We like it's huge trade bait. Like it's Gunless. Like, do you use him to like get a star player? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, or do you just keep him?
Or you just keep him. It's strategic at that point.
Gunless is used to sitting on a bench. He did it with LP for like a whole year, so he's been there.
How many times now has he been benched?
3. Well, he benched himself for United.
Benched himself.
United,
yeah, benched by LG for like the whatever the hell went down with that team.
So this is the third time.
I mean, it's 3 years in a row, basically. Yeah, right.
Interesting.
Yeah, people take note of this, and again, it's just from an org standpoint. Like, how do we sort of deal with a personality like this? It's just you know what you're getting. Yeah. It's just it is what it is.
It's like we've been watching The Last Dance. It's
like,
Dennis
Rodman, right?
Rodman. It's like
Phil knew how to handle it. Yeah, Phil's like, go do your thing. Go to Vegas, bro.
You need 48 hours in Vegas. All right, do it. Just come back
go do your thing. And I don't know if they've had someone to do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like coaching is as much as it's getting into the nitty gritty of the game, it's managing people is the bigger part. But it's been really cool watching that about Phil Jackson, just like how much he was into stuff and so much about like it was just really cool to see how like Jordan bought into that mentality of like team over him. I don't know. It's been really cool to watch. You haven't seen it yet.
I think coaching on the side of COD, at least I mean maybe you guys completely just disagree, but I think the nitty gritty and the strategy stuff in coaching is the least useful, to be honest. I really do. Like
I would agree.
I think keeping the team engaged, motivated, and together is like more like you know what I'm saying. That's what makes
players can do the game side, but can you get the 5 players to sit in a room and watch a VOD?
Can you get them to buy into this system?
No, seriously, I think that's the hardest part of coaching. No bullshit. I really think like the whole strategy and stuff is like not even that important. It's important, but like not.
What's Gunless' 48 hours in Vegas though? Is it like a week of anime binge? Like what?
Or it's a new fucking team. Who knows? I don't know, bro.
Totally though. Like the coaching side of it, it's like it depends on the players that you have. To be honest, like obviously
that's what I mean. Every player.
They're like you see like trends of what your team's like really struggling on when it comes to maps and game modes and stuff like that. But like if you can have like instill like the leadership and have like a system that everyone is buying into, that's when things feels a lot easier. But
that's probably the exhausting part, Chris. I imagine more than the gameplay. It's like the dealing with the people, dealing with the players.
I don't know. It's definitely that. And I feel like that's been like my toughest beat. Not like it's just what it is, like making sure everyone's engaged, making sure everyone's on their shit, like showing up on time and all that other thing. Like you have to have. I mean, it all comes to the players that you have, but they have to buy into it too. If they don't, then you're useless at the end of it too. But like you have to make the buy into it. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, you have to. Yeah. That's like a part of your job, to be honest, is to make them buy into the practice regimen or system that you have. Honestly,
I was a dad. Let's move on.
Yeah,
me, papa.
All right, guys. So coming up this weekend, obviously we have the CDL Florida home series. So I'm going to throw up the groups right here. We have groups A and B right there. For Group A, we have Toronto, New York playing in round 1. And then on the bottom side of that, we have Florida versus Minnesota. I'm excited to see that matchup. Group B, we have Paris, Atlanta up top. And then down low, we have OGLA versus London. So pretty well balanced with groups, I would say. I feel like I'm gonna have pretty straightforward predictions for them, but
see, I don't like as far as for like picks of what 2 we think are coming out. I think there's some choices here. Like I think we might have some movement in our standings. Like I think
Group A, there's gonna be people who go Florida and Minnesota, or someone who takes New York. Yeah.
I think New York's realistic, and for the other side, like I think
the other one, it's
Legion, Optic, or Ravens. You could take.
I would say, yeah, and then Paris or London.
I think New York's a lock.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to decide on right now.
It's hard to say that with like Mutineers and Rockets.
I agree.
I don't know, man.
But the other one's a tough choice because Florida.
The other one's the tough.
It's the question of, do you buy into the Mutineers? Dude, it's really that question. Like, how much do you buy into it, dude? That's the
Tuger. Don't watch, Tuger.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Gotta get after it, bro.
So
predictions.
I think it's New York, and I'm going Florida. And the reason why I'm going Florida is because
Minnesota.
Hear me out.
Yeah,
so
go.
I'm hearing you.
I feel like every time Florida has been doubted, and every time Florida has showed up to an event, they have just done like what they need to do. Their Dom has been always really good in the tournament situation. I feel like this team, like when we scrim them to the way I watch them play, like actual matches, I think they're a completely different team. I personally think that I'm gonna give Florida the edge, not by much, but I just feel like they're gonna like pull it out. I think it's obviously very, very close between Minnesota or Florida, so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong and Minnesota comes out. It's one of those two, but I just feel like Florida's gonna show up and do their thing, and I am a huge believer in New York. I think New York is an incredible team. I think Lamar is one of the most underrated pieces of that team. I think that team has been playing lights out with their talent, and I think Lamar is an incredible leader. So I think they're on their bullshit right now, and I think they're an absolute lock.
Because you've been a big Minnesota guy, so like this
one,
and
that's what I'm saying. Like, so
this one holds a lot of weight for me. Like hearing you say this, like holds a lot of weight for me personally. Like that's big. You've been back in New York like crazy.
I just think Florida's gonna pull something.
No, I have my own thoughts ready.
I don't know. I love the way Lamar. For the last 3 games now, let me give Lamar some gas here because he doesn't get enough. He doesn't get it enough. Seriously,
there you go.
He's definitely not the most talented AR. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to go out there and drop 1.5s. It's not what he's about. But TK, and then you had EG last year. Even though EG struggled towards the end of that year, dude, they were 1 second away from almost getting to the you know what I'm saying? They did their thing final, I feel like teams that are Lamar is on and they buy into his shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Splice roster was a little iffy. I think Looney, I think they didn't get along. Like, you know how that went. I think Lamar has teams playing at a very, very, very high caliber system where they're nasty if they all do it. And I think every time Lamar gets his team to do what he wants, I think they're incredible. I think New York is a product of that. I think the talent on New York is incredible. So I think they're 100% going to be there. So yeah, Lamar has been very underrated, I think, in that sense. And I feel like he doesn't get enough like leadership credit sometimes because people obviously want to give him some shit on the like the stats wise. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the way he handles some of his teams, and I think they're on their bullshit right now. And then Florida and Minnesota, really, really close, but I just feel like Florida's gonna pull some crazy shit out.
You got to pick
and
someone.
Then on my end, I mean, I have to say my team. I said, we made the role switch back. By the way, if you guys wanted to know, so everyone that didn't like our role switch.
I didn't like
nothing. I'm going to be very honest with you. Our Hardpoint had nothing to do with the role switch. We were just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But we went back to it anyway.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, and we went back to it anyway, and we decided, hey, let's just not be stupid. No role switch is going to make it. Sim could have ran a main hour. It doesn't matter. We would have gotten smoked. We had no idea what we were doing. So we've been working on our game, and then the other team in our pool, man, I feel. So who is it? It's us, London, OGLA. Who am I missing? And Paris. Sorry.
Paris.
That's okay. I wanted to make sure, dude. I feel like London's gonna do it, bro. I feel like London's gonna do it. Those are my picks.
All right, I'm ready.
Go, Joe.
We're going New York.
Okay.
And then here is I loved what I saw from New York. I just feel like they've caught up. They figured it out. again, just a tough group. Not saying this isn't another tough group. Well, Florida, Minnesota. I'm actually going Minnesota. And I'm looking at their last matchup, and Minnesota always rebounds from their first matchup. I think that's due to their staff. And also, if you look at the Florida Minnesota final at the Chicago home series, I did not like their vetoes whatsoever. I do not think a team will play St. Petrograd domination against Florida. That is where they have been consistently dominant. I think teams will put them on Hackney or Gunrunner. So for me, I think Minnesota is going to learn and adjust from map vetoes. So I'm going with Minnesota because again, if you look at that map set,
I like that.
I did not like. I think I said it on the broadcast, Glenn. You can say if I'm wrong, but I believe I did not like the way they vetoed the map set versus Florida Mutineers. I think it was a thing where they probably, whether they didn't match up a lot, I don't know if they did. I think we talked about that as well. That was their first matchup of the year or one of them. But I think it was one of the things where Minnesota was probably like, we're very confident right now. We've beaten all the top teams. Let's just play our game. I think they typically, when you talk about like Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, I think they try to maybe outmaneuver them a little bit more in the vetoes and get them a little bit uncomfortable. Not saying they didn't do that with Florida, but I think if it comes down to a map choice too, where a St. Petrograd Dom pops up, I think they're like, oh yeah, we're comfortable with this. Like this is one of our better maps. I don't think they, processed everything that was going on that weekend with how Florida was playing it. So I'm going to take the Rocker because we've talked a lot about their staff and the way they've adjusted. So going New York and Minnesota. Yep. Group B, I'm going Atlanta and I'm going Royal Ravens. New York was in the pit. London was in the pit as well. I think they had 3 really close games with the Atlanta FaZe. Chicago, they had some close games as well. I thought they improved a bit. It was just a tough group, but I don't think they needed to improve too much to get out of this one. So I'm going Atlanta and London.
But you or me?
Well, I guess I'll go. Joe, I'll be honest with you. All talk about Dom and Petro, and I was really hoping Dom would be gone by this tournament, but
I think we all agree with that.
I was ready to have all teams drop into Warzone Akimbos only, like
Renetti.
Anything at this point. All right. So what? One of you went New York, Florida, and one went New York, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I already know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be pissed.
TeeP, you're taking Ultra. We already know that. When typically when I've gone with Chris, it's when Chris and I have been just on the same wavelength. We've been on the same wavelength about stuff. I like that. And that's where I've got my. That's where.
Are you saying you're just stealing from Chris?
That's kind of the vibe I got from him.
I went first quite a bit. Okay. I'm gonna go subliners because Chris convinced me with that just elegant speech.
It was a good accuracy.
Speech. And I was gonna go rocker, but I'm gonna go Florida Mutineers because it's their home series event, and that's the only reason. Now, as we move on to Group B,
okay,
there's no way that is your only.
That's the only reason. Even though we're not in Florida, where
there's no home crowd, humidity,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Is the Florida home series
it's the
event
energy, right.
And Tom Ogre 2, the Halo CE phenom, Halo superstar, will not let his team fall short. Now on to Group B. I'm gonna go FaZe.
What does he have anything to do with the team? He's not even the coach. Atura is. What are you even talking about?
He's everything. He's the single most important person within that organization, Joe.
Wait,
I'll have you know.
I have to give him credit though. To have him like
this is what happens when you don't have caffeine for a day.
I
feel
agree.
He's delirious.
I mean, he's a big part of it. He put the roster together as the GM. I'm not saying he didn't, but
I give all credit to my Lord and Savior Tuger.
Okay.
No, seriously, don't ever have like 6 G fuels a day and then pick a day to not have caffeine. Because I feel like I'm dying. I literally feel like I'm dying.
Thanks for the PSA. I don't think we would do that anyway.
I just have a lot of caffeine and then no caffeine. I feel like a car hit.
Group B. Get it done.
Group B. I'm going FaZe and I'm going motherfucking Optic Gaming. Because Optic.
Okay.
Chino's gonna come in and Chino's gonna fry. Cap is out. Chino's gonna be like young Simp. Dude, Simp came into E United, replaced Cap, and they dominated. Chino is basically Simp. He's gonna come in. Optic are gonna dominate. Slasher's gonna be on his shit. TJ's gonna learn how to play Call of Duty again. They're gonna fry. FaZe and Optic.
Okay.
That was a lot of talking.
You're still going for it, bro. I cannot believe. I still going for it,
I said last episode I gave up on him too. And I was like, fuck it.
He's going back.
Like, listen, bro. Like, okay.
He's
like,
crazy.
Listen, with Optic, I don't know if there's an argument where like these 4 players just show up and dominate, and TJ, Dashy, Kenny, and Slasher. I mean, I think that's
gonna happen eventually.
I don't know, man. Like,
what if Cheen just brings the Omega vibes and he just like lifts them all?
I mean, he could. Listen, he played with Kenny. They won 2 championships.
They
Like,
sure did.
It's been, you know.
He was in
I don't
first
know.
place in the picks department.
I think you're tied with Chris.
Yeah, it's you and Chris.
Yo, Chris,
and I'm
fist
one
bump,
behind.
Chris, let's go, baby.
And I'm
He
one behind. now.
he basically admitted he's stealing Chris's picks.
No way, this is bullshit.
But like,
I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. I just feel like they're waiting for a move. Like they know the Chino thing is a band-aid.
How dare you doubt Chino?
No,
I'm not doubting
it's not
Chino.
about
It's not
Chino.
Chino's fault. I think
It's
Chino
not-
should be on a
I
CDL
can't believe
roster.
Joe hates Chino. It's
I
unbelievable.
hate
He's
you.
so annoying right now.
The one
I
argument to
can't
say,
believe
though-
you hate your fans and aren't streaming until Tuesday. But
I might
Yeah.
stream tomorrow morning. I might.
To defend it, I do think though, like Chino gets along very, very well with Slasher.
Yeah.
And I do think if the vibe of that
that's
team,
not my point.
I
No,
know.
it's like-
I just listen. I agree, but I'm just giving the one
Yes,
grace for them
that
is
it's
like
a good
if
counter
their
argument.
vibe does lift even a tiny bit, and TJ starts playing better, you know, like everyone, like those 4 do like elevate a little bit. That's very possible.
So hear me
But
out. Hear me out
I
here.
do what?
What
He
if
does
they just say fuck the meta and they run 3 ARs every map? You've got Slasher, Dashy, Chino, all with ARs. Screw the map, screw the mode, just run 3. There you go. That's what they're gonna do.
But isn't that team like one of the teams that specifically say like the MP5 is the best gun in Call of Duty history?
Yeah.
Don't doubt.
Yeah.
Don't doubt.
I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do that. I don't think the 3 AR meta's coming in on a hack.
I'm with Joe. If you're like, if they're most likely planning on making a move, which means they're not fully bought into this to playing with Chino, which is not his fault. That just means like I don't think they're going to be full in because they are most likely going to not be playing with that roster again. Like, how can you have that mindset and still have success? So I'm with Joe.
Or they have nothing to lose and they say, fuck it. And
Right.
Yeah, but they can-
I mean, listen, like
They
this
get
is a
past
group where they
Legion or
could
Ravens.
potentially,
Yeah, exactly.
sure,
Yeah.
I like
They
100%,
could
but like
win. I'm just
London and Paris are still very solid teams.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, what is the key thing we always talk about roster changes is search? Like, you're just gonna plug Chino in? I don't know. Maybe.
you never know
But
what's going to happen. It's the CDL.
That team definitely doesn't practice search. So
All right, my turn. Group A, Florida, Minnesota. I don't know if I didn't see enough from New York. I think they are improving.
really,
I think Florida and
Okay.
Minnesota are too good. I really do. And I think they're going to bounce back. And obviously, one of Florida or Minnesota are going to go down that first round. And I think they're going to win that first match and like take that momentum and just win the second one too, while the other team just wins the 2-0 and makes it out. That's how I think that's going to go down. I don't think I saw enough from New York personally. I think they're going to go. They're going to win their first match, lose the second one. Not Clint, dude, you are way too. Let me. I have to bracket it up.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up, bro.
Thank you. Clint's a goofball right now. Okay, so I'm going Florida, Minnesota for A. B, I'm going FaZe and I'm going Paris.
buddy.
Okay, spicy.
I think OGLA is gonna fall flat again.
Wait, quick
And-
question to intervene. Do you know Paris's role switch?
I don't.
No,
Luca and Denz. I think Luca's the main AR and Denz is not anymore. I think.
Interesting.
I don't
So-
know. That's
okay.
100%.
I remember
We
reading
haven't
something
scrimmed them
about
around.
I actually don't hate that because Luca just honestly has not been a great
No.
flight if you look at his stats. Like
No.
honestly, like
Yeah,
And they
so-
even talked in like interviews, like, yeah, he's our star player. And I'm just like, what?
seen
What
it
do you
all.
mean? You have not seen it. So maybe that unlocks Luka a little bit more.
Okay,
But
that scares me because I feel like Denz was kind of like a shining star for them. He's very consistent on main AR. That kind of worries me a little bit. But
yeah, I forgot to bring that up. I don't know if that's even 100%, but I'm pretty sure it is.
no, yeah, I mean, I believe you.
they're probably another team that's just trying to do something, right?
You got to try something. I'm going to stick with the pick, though. I believe in Paris. I think
They're a great team, so.
they have like specific maps that they're like really good on and then just very average on the rest. So like I guess we'll see how the vetoes work out, but I think they're due for like a I don't want to say breakthrough performance, but I think they are a good enough team to definitely make it through to a semifinal.
Dude, it's actually wild. I just looked because I wanted to see if they matched up. They haven't matched up since Minnesota, like the launch weekend. But I just looked at London's last 5 losses. It's to Dallas, Atlanta, Florida, Atlanta, Chicago.
Yeah, that's why I think like London, like that's why I kind of was on London's side. I just don't think London's as like bad as their placings. You know what I'm saying? Like I really do think they're a pretty solid team. They really are. I think.
I mean,
highly
even
of them.
Paris, like Chicago,
they're
they
good
lost.
too, yeah.
Minnesota, they lost. They lost to Minnesota again. The one that stands out is they lost to Gorillas. Oh, that was an exhibition. Never mind.
Well, you got to think about it. They both
lost
been like
to
middle of the
Minnesota and
pack teams.
Chicago.
Middle of the
They
pack.
get to the point where they play the good team, they lose. That's
They lose,
basically what both have been doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think just like watching Paris before, because they're both middle of the pack. I think Paris like excited me more than London ever did. So that's why I'm picking them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm recency bias. I think London played well last or the weekend ago. Chicago home series.
Oh my goodness! Look at that!
Money Chain.
Look at that controller!
Money Chain.
Look at that, bro.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Look at that. Team Scuff.
Oh yeah! Boo!
This is actually the one I got from the Esports Awards for winning a goddamn award. What's
Boo!
Boo, you stink.
Boo!
Boo.
TeeP
What
Scuff.
award did you win? We all forgot.
Hey, don't grab it. Okay.
Oh, he grabbed.
All right, now we have to pick who's winning, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Now overall winners.
Now wait, were we picking finalists and a winner? Is that what we were doing?
I think
Let's just
we're
do winner.
just doing winner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just doing a
we
winner?
probably should have done both, but we've just been doing winner.
We're just gonna
Alright.
stick with
Okay.
it.
I'm
Keep
going
going.
Atlanta.
Right.
It's time.
Atlanta.
It's time for them to win their second.
The role
That's-
switch back. I'm happy with that. I think Crowder's gonna be like, bruh, we're so bad at hardpoint. We're too smart for this. Major Maniac was getting in 13 gunfights a map. They're gonna change that, and everything's gonna be back to normal.
I'm taking
Phase.
Optic Gaming. No, I'm going Atlanta phase. I'm going Atlanta phase.
I was gonna
It's,
instantly end the show if you said
No,
that.
no.
The
it's kind
interesting
of,
thing is like they play second out of Group A, right? So like they could run into like a Minnesota and New York. Like that's the only like
That's true. It could be a potentially like
it's a tough semi. It's a tough
Mhm.
semi. Yeah, that's the only thing. That Sunday, it's a scary one.
Okay, and then
Chris, who you got, dude? Atlanta phase.
yeah, I think Chris is going with the phase.
I hate,
I wish
when
you
I
guys
have
maybe-
to pick my team because I don't like it, but I have to pick my team.
Was that supposed to be?
All right, yeah, Maven took my words.
I have not heard an impersonation that good ever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I sound like. I like that.
I'm fucking losing it, dude. I'm so
The best,
Yeah, I got. Wait, I'm benching you. I'm benching you tomorrow.
No!
You're benched.
the past
No!
15 minutes, what happened to you?
Yeah, what happened, bro? Go to bed. Go to fucking
Yeah.
bed.
No, caffeine's one hell of a drug, bro. Be
Yo.
careful.
I'm dying.
Woo!
What a clown.
I'm
Okay.
having a blast with my buddies.
That's good stuff. Yeah, we're just under an hour. I guess we got through our predictions. We gave some good insight. I'm gonna throw up the schedule really quickly. Go through there. Obviously, the matches start at 3 p.m. Eastern, correct? It says
4
3
p.m. Eastern.
4 Eastern.
4 Eastern.
Right?
Okay, so 3 p.m.
Mhm.
Okay. 4 p.m. Eastern. The first matchup you guys are going to see on the stream for CDL is 8TL versus Paris. Then you're going to see London versus OGLA, New York versus Toronto Ultra. And then following up for the marquee match, we got Minnesota versus Florida. That's
Chris, have you scrimmed Toronto at all?
Yes.
Are they on any better?
Yes. I think they've gotten better. Wait, no,
Oh,
seriously,
that's just the way you pause. Is
no, I was just thinking like, to
like
make
thinking
sure.
about it.
Like,
Yeah.
he's like,
No,
they are
they play-
dog shit. How do I say
No.
this?
No. They've gotten better. They're
I
definitely
feel
working
like
on
the
it.
last few times we've watched, it's just been the same thing where like they go deep in a series, but they
That's what I'm
keep
saying. Yeah, like
getting
I
knocked out of
don't.
tournaments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like for scrims purposes, I don't think like that's the reason why they're winning or losing matches. You know what I'm saying? Like they go deep in the series, like they're good. Like, but like yeah, they still need like a little bit more to work on, in my opinion, to like really go deep into a tournament. But they're a good team. They've gotten better from
Okay.
what we've seen in the earlier stages.
That just made me think of so you guys probably didn't watch it as you're not Canadian, but I had to do an interview for TSN, which is like sort of like the ESPN in Canada, right? It's like one of their major sports networks. It's pretty big from what I understand. I'm not Canadian either. I don't watch it, but I had to do an interview with them, and yeah, they were just asking me like, "Yes, what do you think of the Ultra right now?" I was like,
What'd you say?
What'd you say?
Did you lie?
I think I basically was like, they've got 10 solid players. It's just a matter of them finding the right 5 that fit. Once they find that 5 that fit, I think they'll be a solid team. But yeah, no, it was just funny. The way they worded it was sort of like they sort of said like they've been doing all right. And I'm like, oh,
It's May.
they
haven't figured it out.
Oh, but
It's like, I mean, I said at the start, this is a recipe for disaster in a league like this, and they're still a mess.
Oh, that just reminded me. You said before. I actually after this, I want to go back and watch our conversation around Huntsman from like episode 1, because I am pretty sure I know I spoke about it a bit, but I think we
you
sort
did.
of talked about this exact thing happening. Like I said, if they lost,
I'm pretty sure you said it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I want to go back and watch it because I'm pretty sure we had a big conversation around this exact same thing happening.
No, yeah.
You just want to watch yourself back and say you're right.
You
He
just wanna
does.
hear yourself talk.
He loves hearing himself
Dude,
talk.
you love it. You're gonna post a clip and everything.
Stories about how
All
he's
the
in the
time.
back of the room, in the backcast room, listening to him cast over COD gameplay. We've heard it all. We've
all
heard
the
it
time.
all.
He's like, "Oh, bro, hype clip," and you'll just listen. This is what it'll be. It'll be like, it'll be a hype clip, bro, and he'll just have it. He'll be staring at his phone like this, just smiling, and it'll be blasted, bro.
What are you doing?
It will literally be blasted. It's just, I'm like, Clint, we literally just casted that. He's like,
What is he
"Yeah, but, like,
doing, bro?"
He's like, dude, I want to see how it went out on the air. I'm like,
I was hot.
Dude, what is wrong with you?
All right, bro. Yeah,
We gotta end this. Dude,
yeah.
the last 20 minutes, you just lost your mind.
You lost
All right.
I was hot.
I'm out of here.
You're hot.
I'm out of here. I'm out.
We're done, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoy CDL.
Are we still going?
Yeah. We'll see you guys on the next episode.